Crocheters, today we are going to finish up crocheting the square panels for the crochet tank top. So in part 2 we covered rows 1 through 10. Today we're going to learn rows 11 through 20. So let's jump into this project. So now for round 11 we're going to shake things up a bit. So we're going to have a repeating pattern where we chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to skip the next 2 stitches, so 1, 2, and in the third stitch I'm going to slip stitch. So slip stitching in that third stitch. It's going to create a little loop there. Then I'm going to chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I'm going to skip the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, skip those. And then in this fourth stitch here, I'm going to work a slip stitch. And I'm going to repeat this down the side. So chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Skip 2 stitches, slip stitch in that third stitch. Then chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and in the fourth stitch, work a slip stitch. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Skip 2, 1, 2, and slip stitch in the third stitch. Then for our last one on this side, we're going to chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3. And in the fourth stitch, which is our corner spot right here, I'm going to slip stitch. So that gets me down the first section of this first side, puts me in the corner, and now it's time to work down the next side. We're going to do the same repeating process, but what's important is when we start a new side, we're going to start with a chain 6, and that also means when we get to the end of the side, we will end with a chain 6. But all the way down, I'm going to alternate back and forth between chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, skipping 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and in the fourth spot, slip stitching, and then do 4 chain stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and slip stitch in the third stitch. So I'm going to work that all the way around, and just remembering that on every side I'm going to start with a chain 6 space. So I'm finishing up round 11 here. I have one more little section which is a chain 6 section. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And if I skip my next 3 stitches, that lands me right in the same spot where I started. So I'm just going to slip stitch in the same spot where I started to join this round. So now for round 12, we're going to be working in the little bumps that we created in round 11, and we're going to work in the chain 4 spaces one way and in the chain 6 spaces another way. So in the chain 4 spaces, I'm going to work 3 single crochet. So I'm not even going to do a chain, I'm just going to insert in through the loop, and in this chain space work 1, 2, and 3 single crochet into this chain space. Then I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then in the same chain 4 space, I'm going to work 3 more single crochet. So 1, 2, and 3. So basically what I did in the chain 4 space is 3 single crochet, then I chained 3, and then 3 more single crochet. So there's a total of 6 single crochet in the chain 4, along with that little nub. And then in the slip stitch, where I slip stitched in the previous round, I'm going to go in that same spot and slip stitch right around it. So I'm not slip stitching into the slip stitch, I'm slip stitching around it. So my hook's really going into round 10 down there versus going in round 11. So now for a chain 6 space, we're going to do something a little different, same kind of idea, just different amounts. What I'm going to do is I'm first going to work 2 single crochet into this chain 6 space, so 1 and 2. Then I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, then 4 more single crochet into this space, so 1, 2, 3, 3, and 4, all in this chain 6 space, chain 2, 1, 2, and then in the same chain 6 space, work 2 more single crochet. So 1 and 2. And then to finish it off, I'm again going to slip stitch around the slip stitch of the previous round. So I'm going down into the top of the stitch in row 10 and working a slip stitch around the slip stitch from round 11. So for the chain 6 spaces, what we did to recap was 2 single crochet, chain 2 to create a bump, 4 single crochet, chain 2 to create another bump, and then 2 more single crochet. So there's a total of 8 single crochet in the chain 6 space, along with 2 chain 2 bumps. And then my next spot is a chain 4, so I'm going to do the chain 4 process. So I will do 3 single crochet into the chain 4 space, so that's 1, this is 2, this is my 3rd single crochet. Then I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then 3 more single crochet into the same chain 4 space. So 1, 2, and 3, and you might have noticed how I kind of slid those first 3 single crochet off to the side so I could fit the 3 more in that same chain space. And then to finish this off, I'm going to slip stitch around the slip stitch from round 11. Then we have a chain 6 space, so we're going to start by working 2 single crochet into this chain space. So that's 1, this is 2, then we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, then 4 more single crochet into the chain 6 space. So this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Again, might need to slide those stitches over a little bit. Chain 2, 1, 2, and then to finish up, work 2 single crochet into the same chain 6 space. And lastly, slip stitch around the slip stitch from the previous round. So I'm going to repeat that process all the way around. Whenever I hit a chain 4 space, I do the steps for the chain 4 space, and then if I hit a chain 6 space, I do the steps for the chain 6 space. Now do remember that in the corners, it goes chain 6, and then goes back to alternating all the way around. So make sure that you don't get them swapped up when you go around that corner. Make sure to remember to do both chain 6 spaces in both of those chain 6 spaces around the corner. So I'm going to finish up this round, and then I will show you round 13. So I just worked in my last little bump of round 11, so to finish round 12, I'm just going to go to where I started and slip stitch around that spot there. So moving on to round 13. So what we're going to do to start this round is we're going to slip stitch in the next 2 stitches to basically end up with that middle single crochet of the first 3 single crochet in this space. So I'm going to slip stitch in this guy right here as my first slip stitch. Then my second slip stitch in the next stitch, and that's going to get us in position for where we want to work. So now in this stitch, I'm going to do the alternative turning chain, and it will count as my first double crochet of the round. So alternative turning chain right in that same spot where we worked that second slip stitch. Then I'm going to chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to skip the next stitch, the chain 3 space, and the single crochet after it. And so in the middle single crochet of the 3 on the left side, in that spot, I'm going to work a double crochet. So skip single crochet, skip chain 3, skip single crochet, and work a double crochet in the following stitch. Right there. Then I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2. We're going to skip the rest of this section here, and we're going to move over to this next bump, and we're going to skip the first 2 single crochet, skip the chain 2 space, skip a single crochet, and then in the following single crochet, work a double crochet. And then I'm also going to work a double crochet in the stitch immediately after that. So in the next single crochet, work a double crochet. Another way to think about this is, remember how in these chain 6 sections we did 2 single crochet, chain 2, 4 single crochet, chain 2, 2 single crochet? Basically, I'm working my double crochet in the middle 2 single crochet. So those 4 single crochets, I'm finding the middle 2 and I'm putting 1 double crochet in each of those middle 2 stitches. And then I'm going to chain 2, and we're going to start to repeat. So when we hit one of these blocks that was worked in the chain 4 space, I'm going to look at my first 3 single crochet and work in the middle of the first 3 single crochet. So place a double crochet in there. Then I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to look at the second set of 3 single crochet worked in that chain 4 space, find the middle one, which is this stitch right here, and in that spot, work a double crochet stitch. Let's get right there. Continuing on, I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, go to this section that was worked in the chain 6. I'm going to find the 2 middle single crochet, and in each of those stitches I'm going to work a double crochet. So this right here is going to be my first double crochet, and then in the stitch immediately following, work my second double crochet. Chain 2 and keep repeating this around. So I've worked row 13 on down the side, and now we're getting to the corner. So remember how in the corners we had the chain 6 spaces side by side? So what I've been doing along the side is I've been chaining 2, but we need some extra chain stitches to get around the corner. So after I work my 2 double crochet in the very last section on a side, I'm going to chain 5 to create the corner. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I'll turn to go down the next side, and I'll work a double crochet in each of the 2 middle single crochet of this chain 6 space around the corner. So I'm going to find the middle 2, so it's this one, work a double crochet here, and a double crochet in the following stitch, and then chain 2, and get back to the pattern. So I'll work in the middle of these 3 stitches, work a double crochet, then after that double crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Look at those last 3 single crochet over there, and in the middle one, work a double crochet, and I'm going to repeat this all the way around to finish round 13. So to finish up round 13, I did my last 2 double crochet. I just need to chain 1, 2, and then I'll join with a slip stitch in the top of my alternative turning chain from the beginning of the round. So round 14 is going to be similar, but it's going to be a little bit different than the previous round. So we're going to start with an alternative turning chain to count as our first stitch, our first double crochet. And then I'm going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Skip the chain space and crochet in the next double crochet. So this stitch right here, crochet, work a double crochet in the top of that stitch. Then I'm going to chain 2. So 1, 2. And then I'm going to work a double crochet between these 2 stitches. So I'm not going in the tops of one of them, I'm going to go down between them and work a double crochet right there. And then chain 2, 1, 2, and work a double crochet in the next double crochet stitch. And then we're going to start repeating around. So chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Skip the chain space and work a double crochet in the next double crochet. Work that stitch right there. Chain 2, 1, 2, skip this chain space and work a double crochet between the next 2 double crochets. Chain 2, 1, 2, work a double crochet in the next double crochet. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, double crochet in the next double crochet, chain 2, 1, 2, double crochet between the double crochet, and that's going to bring us to the corner. So to work the corner, I'm first going to chain 2, so 1, 2, and then I'm going to double crochet in this chain 5 space, followed by a chain 1, work a second double crochet in the chain 5 space, chain 1, work a third double crochet in the chain space, follow it up with a chain 1, work a fourth double crochet in the chain space, follow it up with a chain 1, and a fifth double crochet in the chain space. Then I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, work a double crochet between my next 2 double crochet, and then we're back to repeating our pattern around. So after I work between the stitches, I'm going to chain 2, work a double crochet in the next double crochet, then I'll chain 4, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and keep repeating this all the way around for round 14. Alright, to finish up round 14, I did my last double crochet, I did my chain 2, and then I'm just going to join with a slip stitch in the top of my first stitch of the round. Now if we pause for a moment, here's where we're at. At this point, it does start to get very wrinkly, very ruffly, so if it's seeming a little warpy and like it's not laying flat, that's totally okay. That's just the nature of this pattern. That was partly because I didn't want to get super rigorous with the math and how many stitches, and also because I think the ruffliness just adds a lot of nice texture and flow to the finished product. So on to round 15. Round 15 is almost identical to round 14 except for the corners. So we're going to start with an alternative turning chain. Again, that's in the same stitch where we joined with a slip stitch. Then on the previous round, the first thing I did was I chained 4, so we're going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I skip the chain space and work a double crochet in the next double crochet. Then chain 2, 1, 2, skip the chain 2 space and put a double crochet into the double crochet of the previous round. Next space is a chain 2, so I'm going to chain 2 as well. So that's 1, this is 2, and then put a double crochet into the following stitch. And then we're back to repeating. So I have a chain 4 space next, so I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then put a double crochet into my next double crochet. Chain 2 space, so I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, then double crochet in the next double crochet. My next space is also a chain 2, so I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, put a double crochet in the next double crochet. Got a chain 4 space, so now I'm going to chain 4, 2, 3, 4, put a double crochet in the next double crochet, and then chain 2, 1, 2, put a double crochet into my next double crochet, and now we're just about in the corner, and this is where we do things a little bit different on this round. So what's up next is a chain 2 space and then the 5 double crochets with chains 1s between them. So I'm first going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then in the next double crochet work a double crochet. So that's pretty similar. Then I'm again going to chain 2, 1, 2, skip the chain 1 space, and put a double crochet into the next double crochet. Then I'm going to chain just 1, and that'll bring us to the true corner because the middle of those 5 double crochets. And in this spot, I'm going to work a double crochet, followed by a chain 1, a second double crochet in the same stitch, also followed by a chain 1, and lastly a third double crochet in the same stitch. So that gets us around the corner, and now to get working back along the side, I'm going to chain 1 and double crochet in the next double crochet, so I'm skipping all the chain spaces. Then I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and put a double crochet in the next double crochet. Then I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, put a double crochet in the next double crochet, and now I'm back to working my same pattern around, where however many chains my next chain space is, that's how many chains I'm going to do, and then put a double crochet in the next stitch. This is a chain 4, so above here I would chain 4, put a double crochet here, repeat that all the way down the side, and do the corners the way I did here. And as a quick note on the corners, they're symmetrical, so if you kind of get the hang of the first half, just do the opposite on the second half. So let me finish up round 15, we'll join this, and then I'll show you round 16. So finishing up round 15, I'm back to where I started. I just worked my last double crochet. I just need to chain 1, 2, and then join the round with a slip stitch. So then moving on to round 16, this one we're basically going to just work a half double crochet in every single stitch all the way around, and then a couple extra in the corners. So I'm going to start with an alternative turning chain, and I'm going to let that count as my first half double crochet. So working that stitch where we joined the previous round. And then I have a chain 4 space, so I'm going to put 4 half double crochets into this spot. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4, all in that chain space. And we did 4 because it was a chain 4 space. So then in my next stitch, which is a double crochet, work a half double crochet in the top of that stitch. Next up I have a chain 2 space, so I'm going to put 2 half double crochets into that space. So that was 1, this is 2, then a half double crochet in my next stitch, just working in the top of that double crochet. My next space is also a chain 2 space, so again 2 half double crochet into that space, that's 1, this is 2, half double crochet in the next stitch, and then keep repeating this on down, and I'll show you how we deal with the corners. So I'm getting to the corner here, and I'll just walk through this whole thing so you can clearly see. So next up we have a chain 2 space, so again that's going to take 2 half double crochets in that spot. So this is 1 and this is 2. Then a half double crochet in that double crochet. Again, we have a chain 2 space, so I'm going to put 2 half double crochet into that space. That's 1 and that's 2. And then a half double crochet in the following stitch. Next I have a chain 1 space, so I'm going to put 1 half double crochet right here. And then we've got to those 3 that are in the corner there. So in my first of those 3, I'm going to work a half double crochet right in the top of it, then a half double crochet in that first chain space, and then in the second double crochet that's there in the corner, that's the true very center of the corner, so that's where I'm going to work 3 half double crochet to give me enough to get around the corner. So in the top of this stitch right here, I'm working 1 half double crochet, a second half double crochet in that same spot, and a third half double crochet, all right in that spot to create the corner. Then I've got a chain 1 space, so I'll work 1 half double crochet there, work a half double crochet in the top of my next stitch. I have another chain 1 space, so I'll work 1 half double crochet in that, and then a half double crochet in the top of my next stitch. Then I've got a chain 2 space, so that'll be 2 half double crochet in this spot, so 1, 2, and then now we're back to just working down the side, where however many stitches there are, that's how many half double crochet we do. So 2 half double crochet in the 2 chain space, a half double crochet in the top of each double crochet, and then in the corners we'll do those 3 half double crochet like I just showed. So I'm going to work this all the way around to finish up round 16. Alright, so to finish up round 6, I'm just going to join with a slip stitch in the top of the alternative turning chain from the start of the round. So now for round 17, we're getting very close to the end. We've got one last section of kind of open lace, and then we'll put a border on this. So we're going to start with an alternative turning chain in the same spot where we joined our round. So just working the alternative turning chain here. And then in the next stitch, I'm going to work a double crochet. And now the very simple pattern we're going to repeat around is we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, skip the next 2 stitches, and then work 2 double crochet. And these 2 double crochet are each worked in their own spot. They're not worked in the same stitch. So just right beside each other. And then again, chain 2, 1, 2, skip 2 stitches, and then in the following 2 stitches, work a double crochet in each of those. So this is my first one, and this is my second one. And I'm going to keep doing this chain 2, skip 2 stitches, and followed by 2 double crochet all the way on down to the corner, and then I'll show you how we address the corner. So I'm working on round 17 and getting pretty close to the corner, so we have to change things up just a little bit. So I did my 2 double crochet here. I'm going to do a chain 2, 1, 2, and I'm still going to skip 2 stitches. But if we look here, these 3 stitches right here, those are those 3 half double crochet that we did in the corner. So that middle guy right there, that's the very true corner of the side. And if we look, we only have 1, 2, 3 stitches left. So what we're going to do on the right side, right before the corner, for our very last 2 double crochet along the side, we're going to work them both in the same spot. So I'm going to still skip 1, 2. But then both of my double crochet are going to go into the same stitch. So this is my first one, and this is my second one. So then the next stitch, it's that middle half double crochet of those 3 in the corner. So that's our very true corner right there. So to work the corner, I'm going to chain 1, 2, that's my second one, and in the corner, work 2 double crochet to create the corner. So 1, and then 2. So right here we worked these both in the same stitch because we didn't have enough stitches left to work them each in their own spot. And right here we worked these 2 double crochet in the same stitch so that way we have enough to get around the corner. But after we work in the corner, then it's back to business as usual. We're going to chain 1, 2. And when we start, we don't skip any stitches, but we will work the next 2 double crochet each in their own spot. So a double crochet right after the corner, and a double crochet in the following stitch. And now we're back to doing the repeating pattern. So chain 1, 2, skip 2 stitches, and in the following 2 stitches, work a double crochet in each of those. And I'll just keep repeating this all the way around, and then of course treat the corners the same way as I just showed. So remember, at right before the corner we put those 2 in the same spot, and then in the corner we put them in the same spot, but pretty much same kind of thing the whole way around. So I'm finishing up round 17. All that's left is I need to do my chain 2, skip the last 2 stitches there, and then join my round with a slip stitch. So now for round 18, this will be very similar to round 17. First of all though, I need to slip stitch between this first stitch and second stitch, so I'm just going to go right through there and slip stitch to bring my where I'm working over. And then in the space between here, I'm going to do an alternative turning chain, which will count as my first double crochet. So my first stitch of the round is what this is counting as. And then I'm going to do a second double crochet in between. And then what I'm going to do all the way around is I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then work 2 double crochet between the next 2 stitches. So I'm skipping the chain space and working 2 double crochet in the space between the 2 double crochet from the previous round. And then chain 2, 1, 2, skip the chain space and work 2 double crochet between the following 2 double crochet of the previous round. So I'm not working in the tops of stitches, I'm working in between them. And I'm going to repeat this all the way around except for the corners, which once I get to the corner, I will show you that part as well. Alright, so here I am, I'm in the corner. So I'm going to chain 2 like normal. But then in between these corner spaces here, I'm going to do 2 repetitions of the 2 double crochet. So I'm going to put 1, 2 double crochet in between the 2 stitches that make up the corner. Then chain 2, 1, 2, and then in the same spot, this corner spot here, in between those stitches, put 2 more stitches. So 1 and 2. So basically I've done 4 double crochet in between those 2 stitches of the corner, and I have the chain 2 space between them, and that gives me enough to get around the corner. And now I can go back to working like normal. So chain 2, put 2 double crochet between the next 2 double crochet. And I'm going to work this all the way around, and then I'll show you round 19 and then round 20, and then we will be done making our squares. So finishing up round 18, I just need to chain 1, 2, and join with a slip stitch in the top of my round. So round 19 is going to be almost identical to round 18, except the corners. We'll just need to throw a few more stitches in there, but I'm going to start the same way I did round 18, where I'm first slip stitching between those 2 stitches. And then in the space between them, I'm going to do an alternative turning chain. And this will count as my first double crochet. And then put a second double crochet in between those 2 stitches. And then we're back to the chain 1, 2, and work 2 double crochet between the next 2 stitches, between those next 2 double crochet. So we're skipping all the chain spaces and putting 2 double crochet between the double crochet of the previous round, chain 2, and I'm going to work this all the way until the corner, and I'll show you how I do the corner. So I'm working along my side, and now I'm getting to the corner. So I'm again going to chain 1, 2, and basically these 2 right here are the corner, with the chain space being the absolute point of the corner. So on this right hand side, I'm going to work just like normal, work in between those 2 stitches with 2 double crochet. So that's 1. This is the second one right there. Then I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then I'm going to throw an extra 2 double crochet into this chain space here in the corner to create the corner for this round. So that's 1, and then 2, and then chain 2, and then 2 double crochet in between the next 2 double crochet of the previous round. So 1, 2. So basically the corners are exactly the same, just we threw in those 2 extra stitches in the chain space. But now we're back to where we chain 2, skip the chain space, put 2 double crochet between the double crochet stitches, and I'm going to work this all the way around. So I'm finishing up round 19 by slip stitching in the top of the first stitch of the round, and now it's time for round 20, which is the very last round for the square pattern. So we're going to start similarly to rounds 18 and 19. I'm going to slip stitch in between these 2 double crochet, and then in this spot I'm going to work an alternative turning chain, which will count as my first double crochet, and then I'll also work another double crochet in the same spot. So there's my alternative turning chain, here's my double crochet right between there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to work double crochet and fill everything in. So in the chain 2 space, I'm going to work 2 double crochet. So 1 and 2. And then when I hit the double crochets, instead of working them in the tops of the stitches, I'm going to work 2 double crochet in between the double crochet like I was doing on rounds 18 and 19. So 1 and 2 in between the stitching. And then in the chain space, work 2 double crochet, 1 double crochet, and 2 double crochet. And then work 2 double crochet between the double crochet stitches of the previous round. So this is 1, and this is 2. And I'm going to repeat this all the way along the side, and I'll show you how I deal with the corners. So as I get to the corner here on round 20, this spot right here between these 2 double crochet is the very point of the corner. So in the chain space before there, I'm going to work 2 double crochet just like normal, like I've been doing along the whole side leading up to the corner. So that's my second double crochet. But then in between these 2 double crochet that are worked in the chain space in the corner, in between those 2, I'm going to do 5 double crochet stitches to create my corner. So I'm going right in between there, working 1, this is 2, a third double crochet, fourth double crochet, and a 5th double crochet. And now I'm back to chain 2 spaces and 2 double crochet. So in my chain 2 space, I will work 2 double crochet, so 1 and 2, and then in between those 2 double crochet I'll work 2 double crochet, so 1 and 2, and then I'm going to repeat this all the way around. So I've just worked in my last chain space of round 20. I'm going to find the top of that alternative turning chain and slip stitch there to join the round. And now I'm going to fasten off. So at this point I have all 4 of my panels crocheted. You of course will want to get all 4 of yours crocheted before we move on to the next step. But in the next video what I'm going to go over is how we attach the panels and how to add the straps for the shoulders. Alright, so now you know all the rounds of the pattern for crocheting the square panels. At this point you need to make 4 of them. Then come back and watch part 4 where I will show you how we can assemble it and put it all together so that way it fits you exactly the way you want. Happy crafting!